part two of the video, we're going to talk about the gear that I'm actually using right now, okay? We're going to start off by the amplification. I'm actually using a pretty rare Gibson Epiphone Studio 15R amplifier, okay? It's an 8-inch unit with all of the pieces that you would get on a 112 cabinet, but in a slightly smaller 8-inch unit from Gibson Epiphone. Okay, it gives you reverb, of course, that you would get in your 112s. It gives you a high-low. It gives you expansion loop headphone input and all that type of thing. That's basically what I'm using for amplification right now. Processing, I'm actually using a Roland Boss BR532 digital studio. I actually have it right here. Okay, this is basically what I'm using here, which is basically a very sought after piece. It's a mini studio, 4-track, which can be double or actually more than that piece here. This is a digital studio system that has everything. It has your classic Boss tone pedals all in one. Compression, sustain, chorus, everything that you need is in this pedal. This is a very, very nice pedal to use to be pretty much have professional sound in a compatible, small, portable system. The SX Telecasters I was telling you about, the STL50, changed the headstock. I'm going to say a couple years ago. They went to a straighter type of headstock. As you see, this is the reverse. This is my reverse. So basically, I'll do it this way. The headstock on the newer models is actually they cut off this Fender type 70s type of vibe here, and they've actually slimmed it out a little more, which most people don't like. They like this thicker style here better, which really doesn't really affect the sound. Maybe it does, I don't know. But as far as, you know, a Telecaster is concerned, this is basically where you need to be. It's heavier than the Squiers. The pickups are about the same. The pieces inside are about the same. There's really no difference. But the quality of wood, this is an all alder body. The quality of wood and the quality of the neck alone beat the Squiers. Okay, you're going to get a standard maple neck that's been a fresh piece of maple that's not hasn't been aged or anything. People thought they stained this. No, this is actually aged. This is actually now this is a two-piece neck. It's not a one-piece neck that you would get from Fender, but it is a two-piece aged maple on top of an already aged lower, a twice-aged maple on top of a standardly aged maple on the rear, and the quality of the wood is actually high quality. Remember, the American companies now cannot use the best woods that they really want to because of the situation. But remember, in China and overseas, they can basically use any of the wood they want in India. Same thing with this here, SX tuners on the rear, made by SX, of course, and they're actually great tuners, man. Like I said, the Agile versions of the Strats use the same tuners. But you can upgrade. If the more money you pay, you're going to get Grovers. Okay, they had Shallow at one point, but they actually use Grover tuners now. If I'm not mistaken, they used what's the other company other than Grover? Gota. They had some Gotas on some of them, but now they strictly go with your standard type of tuners that you would get from Grover. Bridge and things like that. Floyd Rose could be upgraded. For the money, the SX brand is the only way to go. The newer Haiti and stuff and the Douglas stuff, I'm not familiar with at all. The Douglas stuff, I'm hearing I'm hearing good things about them, but they lean more towards hotter humbucker sound with the same bodies. They're basically giving you the same bodies with your basic SX bodies, and they're putting humbuckers in just about everything. And they're trying to make them hotter. And to me, you know, they're okay, but that if you want a custom type of look and feeling guitar with a hotter type of this and that, then go with Douglas. Personally, I would go with overall, I would go with SX. I wouldn't go with Agile as much. I would go with SX. If you want the Les Paul copy, I would go with the top of the line SX version, which is like $189 literally. And actually, it's just as good as the big 3100 Agile watch out. It may not have the Grover tuners, it may not have this or that, but as far as sound quality and neck and all that, you're getting the same exact guitar. So I just wanted to make a quick video on that type of situation. I have other custom-made guitars. I have Strats downstairs with custom Fender pickups, some interchangeable necks that I put on for a for a more raw type neck. I have all kinds of different pieces. I'll show you a very, very rare Harmony Marquise guitar. 2 DiMarzio pickups in this thin line body. This is not the one that you see online all the time. The H80T or H802. This is actually the H222W. Okay, this is probably the rarest of that type of guitar out there. It's a Fender Lead 2 type. Okay, double cutaway, black pick guard, and basically you get the 2 tone control. You get a Fender style of bridge there, string through body. Okay, another beautifully made maple neck. Now, of course, this is vintage Harmony. Okay, this is actually the last Harmony guitar to come out of the original global company from 1975 to about the early 1980s. Okay, this is the last of them. They were actually the best company other than the American Harmonies to come out on the market. There are a few other companies that actually picked up Harmony over the years, and now they're actually being brought out to be a reissued type of expensive guitar. But this here is a very, very rare Harmony catalog type of guitar that was out, and you rarely see any of these here. This is in great shape. It's all original except for the volume knobs I put on Gibson type instead of the old style that they had. Beautifully aged maple neck with gloss, as you can see, on the rear too, which I wish it didn't have it on the rear, but it does. A Fender type system there. A okay nut. It's not really a cheap plastic, but it's not any type of bone or anything, but it's actually okay. You get your rail style, classic rail style tuners there, which actually stay in tune okay. And usually these guitars, this style, the H802s and all the H802s, usually the tuners pegs come off the rear and it actually comes apart. So to have this here and have it naturally working right is a plus. I've seen this guitar here go online recently on eBay for over $250. Okay, this particular model is in very good shape. There are some nicks and scratches on this model, but overall this is in great shape. I'm missing a string, but it actually plays. It actually plays good. It's a great little guitar. You can't hear anything through there, but I will do extensive videos on all 3 of these guitars. Okay, I love Asian guitars. I started off with a Harmony guitar, and I always own one in between. I actually have a really nice '79 Harmony Strat body that I actually have some a Perloid Fender pickguard that's put inside of it, and I put a custom neck on this guitar because the original neck didn't have a truss rod. That was the only complaint with that guitar. I still have the original neck to the Harmony. It's a '79. It was the H82. I can't remember the number, but I still have that guitar. That was a '79 in red, aged relic looking body, but I actually have the same body and the same springs and pickups and bridge and everything still inside the guitar with a nice pair of Fender pickguard system on a Perloid pickguard with a cranberry body. I'm going to do a report on that also once I string that guitar and set it up. Yeah, I just want to make another quick video on some rare vintage guitars. I'm going to have a whole slew of pages up here that's going to give you insight and intuition on these Japan guitars. I'm going to have some extensive, because I have a lot of information, a lot of knowledge on these older Asian guitars. Okay, a lot of these older Asian guitars now are very sought after. They're worth a lot of money now. Like the gold foil pickup guitars, things like that. I actually own a really nice late '60s high-low single gold foil pickup guitar that I'll do a video on also. It just needs to be strung up. The pickup itself is worth $100. It's a gold foil, original gold foil from the 60s. It's a great little guitar, pretty much built like this here. You know, thin line. The Asian companies in the 60s and 70s did a lot of thin line bodies, string through. That was their main thing back then, you know. And there's always the ego of America, because remember, back then everything that was made in America was supposed to be better than everybody else. Cars were bigger and better, you know, V8 versus 4-cylinder, you know, Datsun compared to Chevy, you know, everything America was bigger and better. But now you look back now, everything is reversed. Everything made over Asia is what's become is the standard. You can't buy an electronic piece of audio equipment without it being Asian, okay, which is great. Looking back now, these old Asian guitars sounded just as good as Defenders and all the other ones, okay. Yeah, some of the wood may have been cheaper quality back then. The way they actually put the guitars together may have been slightly cheaper than, let's say, Fender, Gibson, and, you know, Martin, all the American companies, Harmony America, which actually was a little bit below Fender and Gibson, but still gave you a quality piece. And looking back now, something like this here sounds just as good as sounds just as good as a Mexican Strat, literally. The technology that they put into the stuff now is basically borrowed from the Asian guitars. Okay, most of the guitars made now are made in Asia. Fender, Gibson, all these companies that are supposed to be these American brands, PRS, all this stuff, are getting these guitars, pieces and stuff shipped from over there. Remember, you're not buying it. Oh, I have a Gibson, you know, and it's all American. I'm proud. You know that fretboard and that wood comes from China or India. You're not actually getting an American guitar. You're not getting American swamp ash neck. You're not getting American this and that. You're getting an Indian or Asian wood, Chinese metals and pieces, and they're being brought over to America and put together. So what's the difference between if the body's being made in America or China or Japan, Korea? Nothing. You know, some of my best guitars have been made in Korea and made in Japan. So that's the funny thing. I will do more videos on that type of situation, to where most people think that the Asian guitars are inferior to the American guitars and this and that, especially back in the 60s and 70s. It was like, okay, Asian cheap, $100. American, okay, yeah, $400 or $500. When it turns out to be that they were making guitars that were just as good or even better because of the price range than the American guitars. When Gibson started going down in the late 70s, you know, when Fender started having their problems in the late, 80s and 90s, I mean, you know, the Asian guitars were the ones to get. If you get a good one, you get a good one. If you don't, you don't. Now, the videos that I will be uploading later will be, like I said, the SX Callisto Jr. I will do a video sound test on that through the Gibson Epiphone amplifier, through the BR. I'll go straight through to the amplifier to give you the real natural cleanness and tone of the guitar and the real grittiness of what the pickups can do. The STL50 Telecaster, the Harmony H222W lead 2 Fender type guitar, and a multi-range of other guitars. I'll actually do some, yeah, like I told you, the Gibsons and Epiphone acoustics and things like that I'll try to get into. So I hope you enjoyed this video. There's a lot more to come in the future. God bless.